waiting is over. After 2 months, the Waterpolo Champions League is back with the first round of the quarter-final stage. Some great games in this one. Novi Beograd is still unbeaten. Marseille couldn't stop them. A fourth away win this season for Olympiacos. And in the showdown of the two unbeaten teams in this season, Ferencváros demolishes Barceloneta. Welcome to the highlights of the Waterpolo Champions League. These are the results of round 1 of the quarter-final stage. Novi Beograd, Marseille 15-14. Jadran versus Olympiacos 11-12. Oradea versus Savona 11-17. And Ferencváros versus Barceloneta 18-10. The Serbian and French champions met in Belgrade for the opening of the quarter-final stage of the Waterpolo Champions League. Novi Beograd won the preliminary group without a loss. They were actually without a loss until this weekend, when Jadran Novi managed to beat them in the regional league, their first defeat after 20 matches this season. Marseille was second in the preliminary group. Barceloneta was too strong for the team led by Milos Stepanovic. The bigger problem for the French was the fact that they didn't play a competitive match after the national team's break back in January. That was not visible at the start of the match. Marseille was excellent in the first quarter, especially on centre position, where Novi Beograd couldn't stop Bodegas. Perlanovic uses the extra player for the first goal of the match. Bodegas continues to create problems. After another earned exclusion, it's Crusiliat from the right side for another French goal. Soon after, the same story again. This time, Bodegas does it all himself, and Marseille has a 3-goal advantage, 3 minutes and 15 seconds before the end of the first quarter. Novi Beograd manages to come back quickly in the first quarter. Radovic through Teshanovic's head and Lukic, both with an extra player, bring the hosts to 1 goal down. At the start of the second quarter, they are back. Bodegas fouls Perkovic, and from 5 metres, Matanovic scores for 3-3. All the signs of a great game were there. Marseille leads again after Perlanovic scores his second goal of the night. Novi Beograd has a chance to come back. Chuk cannot beat Tesanovic from a penalty shot, an excellent save from the Montenegrin. It was goal for the entire second quarter. After Bouet scored for 4-6, it looked like Marseille will lead at the break, but 2 goals in the last seconds bring Novi Beograd back. First Martinovic in the last second of the attack, and then Vlahopoulos in the last second of the second quarter for 6-6. The start of the third quarter gave the first lead for Novi Beograd. Perkovic was strong enough to score by Teshanovich, who came out of the goal to steal the ball. Marseille was still close during the third quarter. Perlanovic was calm from 5 metres for 9-8, but then Chuk showed up. A nice shot for 10-8 after Perlanovic's exclusion, which he almost repeats a minute later for 11-8. A minute before the end of the third quarter, Marseille has a chance to reduce the deficit. Vernu earns a penalty, but this time Glushak reads Perlanovic. When Perkovic scored on the start of the last quarter for 12-8, it seemed that Novi Beograd will win this easily. Marseille disagreed. Crusiliat uses a man up for 12-9. Teshanovich saves another penalty. Crusiliat with 1 more goal after Bodegas earned exclusion for 12-10. and Velotto for 12-11 in just 2 minutes and 7 seconds, and the game is on the edge again. Not for long, Vlachopoulos tricks Bouet and then shoots over his head. Novi Beograd has a 2-goal advantage once again. There was enough time in this match for another comeback, this time with Bouet and Perlanovic bringing Marseille back. It's 13-13, 1 minute and 58 seconds before the end of the match. It was a very entertaining match throughout, and so were the last 115 seconds. After Perlanovic showed what he can do from outside, it was time for Chuck to do the same. A beautiful shot that fooled Teshanovic completely. 1 minute and 42 seconds to go. Novi Beograd was up once again. The match went to Novi Beograd 23 seconds before the end. Vlachopoulos converted a penalty for 15-13. There was not enough time for Marseille to come back once again. All they did was score another goal, Vernu's first and only one in the match. It finished 15-14. 6 wins in a row for Novi Beograd against Marseille. The French champions were close, but not close enough. The first European test of 2025. Jadran split went head-to-head with the Greek powerhouses Olympiacos. Between these two participants of the quarter-final stage of Group A, it was Hervoy Kolyan inside who came out on top in their previous 4 matches. And Jadran had a difficult task ahead, even though they produced quite a few fine presentations in front of their own fans. No Konstantinos Kakaris, as he's serving suspension for a red card received in the last group phase match versus Savona, and no Marin Tomasovic of the home side. The first period didn't offer much action, especially not in front of Emmanuel Zavedas' goal. The back of the net was found on only 2 occasions, and both thanks to the top scorer of the previous 2 editions of the European Aquatics Champions League, Konstantinos Ganadinias. A counter-attack goal against his former teammate, now the defensive pillar of Jadran, the Croatian national team goalkeeper Marko Bijac, who switched the red and white colours for the blue and white since the beginning of the season. Ganadinias hit again, this time with an extra player attack. 2-0 on the scoreboard after 8 minutes. Not a single shot turned into a goal for Euro Marelia's players. Enough of a reason for alarms to turn on. Alexandros Papanastasio joined the scorer list shortly after the start of the second period. One of the players from the playad of the Greek national team players within the Greek Championship winning squad continued the strong start to the game. 9 minutes and 15 seconds went by before Marino Chigal used the first numerical advantage for the home side. Ganadinias strikes back halfway before the end of half-time. This time, it was a powerful 6-metre shot to take Olympiacos to 4-1. Even Domagoj Zovic used another power play for the Croats. The lefty cut the gap to just 1 goal of a difference, before the guest side scored 2 more under 40 seconds. Gergos Zelanki and Papanastasio ensured a slightly more comfortable situation before the end, or so it seemed. "67 seconds to go on the clock. Jurko Marinic Kragic used the first opportunity from the 5-metre spot. The captain started the home side's goal-scoring streak, and Chagall followed. 3 seconds before the half-time for 4-6. And Jadran continued where they left off in the previous quarter. Duju Pekovic with his action shot goal. And Marinic Kragic fired the shot from the 6-metre line to tie the score. It turned out to be the only time Jadran managed to do so. Instead of turning the game in their favour, things took a different turn. Olympiacos lost control for 3.5 minutes, allowing Jadran their 4th consecutive goal sequence. But the control was re-established with the same weapon. 4 goals from the red and white team, starting off with Genadinias, well, no surprises there, followed by Papanastasio. Dimitrios Nikolaidis. And Papanastasio once again, equaling the goal-scoring performance of his captain. A second was left on the clock before the last quarter. Enough time for Dusan Banicevic to use his extra player opportunity and turn it into a goal for 10-7. Now only 8 more minutes left. Another power play opened the last period. Antonio Dušević, another driver from the Croatian side, found the back of the net. And little by little, Jadran got closer. But Genadinias prevented the difference from going to only -1. His 5th goal of the game gave him the top scorer of the match status. Quite a familiar status for the Greek. The captain, pivotal with his performance, while the Croatian side lost theirs. Marinic Kragic got the 3rd exclusion and got the bystander status prematurely. From 11-8 to 11-9. Zovic broke away to counter-attack, keeping the hope of reversing the fortune by the final whistle. Ioannis Funtalis extinguished the hope with his penalty shot. But Zvonimir Butic reignited the fire with his fine action shot goal. Now only a minute to go. Jadran had a power play opportunity, but Chagall opted for a skip shot to the middle of the goal, exactly where Zed Revas was, keeping the distance on 2 goals. The only thing that Jadran could do before the end was to try and come as close as they could get. And thanks to Butic, only 1 goal ended up separating the 2 sides. Olympiacos takes the first European points of the new year on yet another away stage, a step closer to another appearance on the Final Four tournament. In the first part of the season, Oradea took advantage of a favourable draw and managed to qualify for the quarter-finals of the competition by finishing 2nd in the group with Novi Beograd, Steaua and Hanover. Savona, on the other hand, also finished 2nd in their group. They achieved this in competition with Olympiacos, Sabadell and Primorac. Both the Romanians and the Italians played derbies of their domestic championships in the anticipation of the continuation of the season in the Champions League. Oradea drew with their biggest rival Steaua, while Savona was defeated by Brescia and Pro Recco. The first goal didn't take long to come. In the 2nd minute, Levente Vancic scored to give the home team the lead. A long period of goalless play followed, and then David Belagnesi was also precise from a counter-attack. However, by the end of the first quarter, Savona managed to reduce the deficit with a goal by Valerio Rizzo with an extra player. The second part of the game was much more efficient, and as many as 11 goals were scored. After a short game of goal for goal, the Italians took the first lead of the match in the middle of the quarter with a goal by Lorenzo Bruni from a counter-attack. And Luca De Monte made it possible for them to break away with a 2-goal advantage with a shot from outside. Savona managed to keep that lead, although Oradea came close to 1 goal a few times, like after Minya Georgie's goal with an extra player. However, De Monte made sure that the visitors left at half-time with a 2-goal difference, also with an extra player. The game, it turned out, was broken in the third quarter and in the second half of that part of the game. After playing goal for a while, Savona's series of 3 consecutive goals followed. The brilliant De Monte took care of the first 3-goal lead with another goal from a counter-attack. Just a minute later, Rizzo also scored. And Oradea's complete collapse came when Nicolo Rocchi scored with an extra player with 19 seconds left. That streak was finally broken at the beginning of the last quarter by Ivan Gusorov, who took advantage of the numerical superiority in the pool. In the next attack, the same player managed to restore some hope to the Romanians, but they could return to this match. However, their hopes were extinguished by Rizzo, who scored a penalty 6 minutes before the end. The man of the match, De Monte, ensured that the victory was secured well before the end, with a goal with an extra player. In fact, by the end of the match, Savona managed to reach the biggest lead. In the final minute, Balashedelyi used an extra player and thus set the final score. The best player of the match was Savona's De Monte with 4 goals, while Rizzo and Merkulov added 3 each. In Oradea, Gusorov was the most effective, also with 4 goals, and Bolognesi scored 3. Somebody was to end their winning streak in Bela Komjadi pool in this match. The title defenders, Ferencváros, welcomed Barceloneta, hoping to continue their incredible season, this time against a dangerous opponent. Barceloneta is one of the few that can boast a win in this pool in the last couple of years. It was that incredible 18-8 win 3 years ago. Well, the Hungarians made sure that will not happen this time from the very start. Their defence was excellent at the beginning, and when we say defence, we mean Sommer Vogel, who stopped 3 shots in a row in the first Spanish arrival in the front of his goal. Ferencváros was to score. Agriopoulos is quickest to the ball after it rebounded off the bar for 1-0. On the other side, Vogel was creating miracles. Check this save from Bustos. Barceloneta had a lot of problems in defence. Fekete was left alone, and now it's 2-0. Soon, Aguirre has to pick the ball from the net after Vamos counter-attack for 3-0. After that goal, Elvis Fatovic called a timeout to try and wake his squad up.
Estamos sin cojones. Chutamos y ellos van 4-1 contra-ataque. No puede. No puede. Otro, Cuando tenemos Vigori a 2 metros con él, va afuera, él dentro con él. Cuando ve el Vigori con él en ataque, en defensa, sale, él va adentro. Chicos, vamos, hombre más, Álvaro, vamos, Álvaro y Vinci Ali, Berni y Unai, Roger.
Barceloneta manages to get on the score sheet 40 seconds before the end of the first quarter. Biel from outside finally beats Vogel. It's now 3-1. But Ferencváros was not done yet. Vamash uses a man up to score again for 4-1, only 10 seconds before the end of the first quarter. A 3-goal advantage for the Fradi after the first part of the game, mainly because of Vogel, who had 7 saves in 8 minutes. Barceloneta tried to come back. San Ausha scored a beautiful goal from outside for 4-2, but that was the closest Barceloneta came in this match. After Manhertz converted a penalty, San Ausha brought them to -2 again with an incredible shot from 8 metres that Vogel was not expecting this fast. The Hungarians locked their goal again, and a 3-goal streak gave them a 5-goal advantage after this Agriopolos goal. 8-3 for Ferencváros. It was goal for goal until the end of the first half that ended with 10-5 for Ferencváros. When the third quarter started, it was Barceloneta that scored first. Vince Vigvari surprised Vogel from more than 7 metres for 10-6. But that was only the start of another Ferencváros run of goals. From this Disoma goal for 11-6 to the goal that Neme scored for a 14-7, only 2 minutes and 22 seconds passed, and it was clear 3 minutes before the end of the third quarter that this was a game that Ferencváros is winning easily. The last goal of the third quarter was scored by Fekete after a nice assist by De Toro, 16-8 for the Fradi, 8 minutes before the end of the match. In the last quarter, Mandic scored his only goal of the match. After the ball was stolen, he finished the counter-attack in Dusan Mandic's way with a rocket that went above the goalkeeper's head for 17-8. It finished 18-10 for Ferencváros, with almost all of the players on the scoresheet. Disoma the best scorer with 4 goals. The only Fradi player without a goal was former Barceloneta centre Miguel de Toro. For the Catalans, San Ausha with 4 goals. But without a doubt the best player of the match was Sommer Vogel, who had 13 saves in 3.5 quarters. Nieki took him out 4 minutes before the end of the match. Both Barceloneta keepers had 6 saves in the entire game. Don't believe us? Don't take our word for it. Here are some of his saves from this match. A great game for Ferencváros that proves once again that they are the biggest favourites to win the title. That's all for this edition of the Waterpolo Champions League highlights. We're back in 3 weeks for round 2. This time it's Group A that offers the best match of the round, and it comes from Piraeus. Olympiacos Novi Beograd. Marseille is host to Jadran in the match where 2 losing teams from round 1 are fighting for the first points. In Group B, Barceloneta is the clear favourite against Oradea, and Savona will have a very difficult time against Ferencváros. We'll see you in 3 weeks.